WWE Unreal Season 2 just dropped today, and here is my review of episode 1 of the Season 2. Because 5 months ago, when the first season dropped, I reviewed each and every episode, so I'm going to do the same exact thing, but this time, it's with Season 2. So let's get in today's video. Seth Rollins kicked off Unreal, introducing himself and talks about how he didn't pick his name out, and also named out some of the names he has gone by throughout his career. He said his name is Colby Daniel Lopez, and he's wrestled under the ring name God. Okay, I think that says Gix. I could be wrong. Taj the Destroyer, Tyler Black, and Seth Rollins. Seth said that he didn't pick out the name Seth Rollins. He had some help by picking out the name with Dusty Rhodes, Cody's dad, and he said he did the impersonation of Dusty, saying, "Yeah, Seth." And he was like, "I can see it now, Seth Rollins, main event of WrestleMania." You know, Dusty saw the future in Seth Rollins. And Seth said there are a few people in this business that have the ability to make it to the top and stay there. Which he's absolutely right. There's only a couple there's only a few people in the world that are tries to make into the business that can do the things, can make it to the top. Not everyone makes it to the top. Michael Hayes says the first time he found out that Seth and Becky were a thing was when he was in Gorilla at WrestleMania 35 at MetLife, where he found Becky and Seth making out. You cannot make this up, bro. You can't make this up. Seth says he and Becky got married in Hawaii with 20 people watching. And also, isn't it just weird? It's kind of weird when Becky doesn't have orange hair or red hair, whatever you would call that. Like, it's kind of weird seeing her natural hair color, brown. Kind of weird. Unreal, but that was just the prelude. That was just the opening of it. It's finally time to start with Unreal No Days Off. Los Angeles, California. They showed the WWE schedule, and we currently are on the current date of this take place on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Becky was training to get back in the ring 4 days out from WrestleMania 41. Becky Lynch introduces herself and lists off the name she's been known as. Her real name, Rebecca Quinn, the Last Kicker, the Man, Big Time Bex, Becky Two Belts, and Becky Lynch. Triple H took over, saying that she was kind of an underdog, and after Nia Jax punched her in the face and broke her nose, and she put her hands up in the air and made the iconic shot that made her the man. And then Becky, of course, added that normally the man is a guy, but the man was me, because I was the number one. Becky, anyway, Becky says that, she was just seen as someone that has something, but, not the it factor when she got called up. Because again, you have to remember, she got called up with Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Bayley, who I guess at the time were seen as bigger stars, or has the it factor that Becky Lynch, I guess. They didn't see it at the time. Then we move on to Becky and Seth's daughter, Brew. Becky says that she gets excited when she does a half good cartwheel at her gymnastics class. And then Seth, of course, said that Becky always feels like she's not doing enough for Rue and all that other stuff. Also, Becky says by May of 2024, her contract was coming up to an end. She was worn out, burnt out, and felt like she didn't get enough time spent with her daughter. So Triple H said that she can get time off. They can write her off TV. They don't have to sign a new contract right away. But when you're ready, we can renegotiate your contract when you're ready. And then he said by early 2025, she was ready. And by then, she started training with Seth to, get back in ring shape and get her callus back, since she basically didn't wrestle for like a year. So, she had to get back in ring shape and, get back her callus that she lost. But now we head over to the WrestleMania writers' room, where they were talking about the WrestleMania plans with Lyra and Becky, and they said Becky is going to be the surprise partner for Lyra, correct? And Triple H said, yeah, that's where we went, that's what we said. And then they were saying, and Triple H said, well, it's just predictable. Like, everyone's going to be saying, well, it's obviously going to be Becky. Which, he is right. Everybody ever was predicting that Lyra was going to partner up with Becky after Bayley got taken out. And, yeah, even the WWE writers realized that it was very predictable that it was going to be Becky that was coming back at Mania. Lyra introduced herself. I won't lie, I'm not saying her name. I don't even know where to start. And I don't want to mess her up. I don't want to mess up. So, I'm just going to say that she went by Valkyrie. Her name in Valkyrie, and then Lyra Valkyria in WWE. So if you guys are Irish, or just not Irish, and you know how to pronounce the name, I mean, you can tell me in the comments below, because I don't really know how to say it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I don't want to mess up, I don't want to offend anyone, I don't want to mess up trying to pronounce that. That's a tough name, so I'm sorry, Lyra, sorry. But Lyra introduced herself, talked about how when she was flipping channels, she saw Becky Lynch's debut match, and she was wondering how she could be a wrestler like Becky Lynch. And, stuff like that. And, she started looking for, wrestling schools around her to start training. And, of course, talked about the infamous picture of her and Becky standing next to each other at, I believe, a wrestling school or something like that. And when Lyra was still getting her feet under her. And then she talks about her rise in WWE, her becoming a women's intercontinental champion, and her 2025. Triple H! There's Triple H. WrestleMania 40. Becky talks about the haters online saying that they're obviously not true. Obviously you're not a bad person, but you think, somewhere deep down that you kind of are. Then she talks to TJ, or aka Tyson Kidd, and says that I feel like dry inside. Is that normal? Is that anxiety? And he said, yeah, that's normal. That's normal. Anyway, it was time for Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch to take on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And they showed Becky Lynch coming out, hand in the air, and Becky talking about, oh, how she's so excited, and her winning the title, and then seeing Becky's daughter with the title. The next day, they show them losing, and then they show Becky turning. Triple H says the easiest way to turn someone heel is by betrayal. And that's what they did here, having Becky turn on Lyra. Lyra says that there wasn't much planning in how Becky turns on her, which that just turned into a bunch of manhandle slams that the crowd kept chanting, more, more, more. And, of course, Becky says the crowd was just on her side, which is obviously not what you want when you turn heel. And she said that she's just going to find a way to put Lyra over. And Lyra also says that, the crowd has a deeper connection with Becky because, I'm just getting my feet wet, and Becky's been here way longer, and the crowd knows Becky way better than me, so of course she's going to get over or get cheered more. Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard says it's very difficult to book a Backlash due to the build-up they already did for WrestleMania. Which, is it that hard, Bruce? Is it that hard? Because, let's be honest. Is it that hard, or is that the time frame you got for yourself? Because think about it. WrestleMania was on the 20th and the 19th and the 20th. Backlash was May 9th? May 10th? So you only got yourself, 10 days from WrestleMania? Not enough time to build up a show. Now, if you put WrestleMania back where it should be in the beginning of April, right, the first few days of April, the first weekend of April, and then give yourself a whole month to build new stories, build to Backlash, it shouldn't be that hard, right? It shouldn't be that hard. You coming back, like, Raw after Mania, you build up to Backlash. When Backlash should not be just 10 days. You shouldn't have a WrestleMania and then Backlash 10 days apart. You need a month. I say the best. I feel this personally, that PLEs need to be 3 to 4 weeks apart. Because you need enough time to build a story, and because you can't go into one show and then boom, you have a match. You can't do that. Like, it's not there. It's impossible. You need at least 2 to 3 shows to tell a story. So 10 days, in 10 days you will only get 2 shows? Not even? So, it don't make sense. That's why I believe they should put, if every time they go to Vegas and they put WrestleMania later in the month, then why just push Backlash later in the month? There's no, it's as simple as that. And of course, they were showing the Backlash card, the women's IC, Becky and Lyra, Penta, Dominic, and then, of course, Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee introduces himself in saying he has wrestled a couple times since he joined the WWE. Michael Cole says he was in charge of the announcers and hired Pat to do the pre-shows for NXT after he found out he was a wrestling fan. See? Ed, this guy right here, Ed said McAfee has done stuff in the past for us, and why can't we put him against Gunther? And as simple as that. McAfee defends his best friend, his 58-year-old best friend. And they're also showing the backstage where they're saying, hey, tell Gunther to keep it locked in. Tell Gunther to keep that lock in. Tell him not to loose the hold. And also, again, Robert Roode, how much Sour Patch Kids do you be eating? Because to me, that bag looks like full. That bag looks empty. Also, are you like this every? Hold on. Are you like this every show? Like, good job, guys. Good job. Yeah. You want Sour Patch Kid? Like, is that how you act? Is that how Robert Roode be doing? Sorry, Bobby Roode be doing? Backstage. Golly. And, yeah. We move to Indianapolis, Indiana, where we go to Pat McAfee's headquarters, where they were setting up the WWE ring, and to train for the Backlash match. McAfee talks about his matches at WrestleMania 39 against The Miz, and his classic, all-time classic match at WrestleMania 38 against Austin Theory, and of course, the Stone Cold Stunner. Anyway, this guy, Jonathan Beckstorm, WWE VP Creative Writing, says he doesn't see Gunther losing this match. Like, he doesn't see a way that Gunther could lose this match. And he's right. Lyra says there's so many great matches on the card that she wants to stand out with Becky. Triple H, before Pat goes out there, tells him, hey, if you get gassed in there, tell Gunther to give you a minute. Tell him to give you a minute. He'll taunt the crowd, get the crowd evil on his side, all that stuff. And Pat was like, hey, yeah, okay, yeah. Then Triple H called Gunther over, calling him Walter, and says, hey, what are you going to do to put him over? And Gunther says, yeah, I don't know, I'll figure it out. And then they were showing the chops, and McAfee was like, God, those chops, that hurt. All this match just hurt me. And, the producer was telling the referee to have Pat McAfee fight up on that first sleeper hold, and then, when Gunther pulls back and gets it deeper, it's over. The match is over, Then when Pat gets back to backstage Gorilla, John Cena tells him that he put on a great, phenomenal performance out there, and Triple H says, "Hey, I was wondering, I was waiting for you to get gassed out there." Anyway, Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship match was up next. And Becky said she was trying to figure out a way to show people how good Lyra is, and said that this was kind of like her coming out party. Of course, they showed the match, and then immediately after Lyra won by the roll-up, you see Becky attacked, and you'll see backstage as Jason Jordan had the headset on and was about to talk to Jason or TJ, but before he could say anything, Becky Lynch started attacking like immediately, and TJ said, "So I'm sorry, Becky started early," and they just started They were running down there, stopping, and then after Becky got backstage, she was having a talk with Trips. And Triple H says she should have waited a little bit to have time for the crowd to pop. Because they didn't have time to pop. They have time to process what was happening. But he said it doesn't really matter because you guys have great chemistry and it was a fantastic match. Yep. And then to close out Unreal Season 2's first episode, Becky says she believes that Lyra is the future of the business just by the way she conducts herself, and says, and just reads into all the wrestling, like, why does that work, but why does this doesn't work? Like, and she was just saying how she believes that Lyra is the future of the business. But they did show, but this was the end of episode 1 of WWE Unreal Season 2. But they did show what is going to happen on this season of WWE Unreal. And of course, they talk about Chelsea Green's 100th broken nose. Road Dogg getting heated in a meeting, which, this one right here, this one's going to be interesting. Road Dogg, what are you getting all upset for? This one's interesting. I am very excited. I'm rubbing my hands. Very excited to see what Road Dogg got mad about. This was the end. What are you doing, Eel? Eel, what are you doing? You cannot explain to me. What is this? Eel, I think... Eel, this is... Bro, sorry. If I was one of these producers backstage, I would be like, what? What the heck? Bro, what? Bro, if I was this dude, I would be like, okay, that's a little weird. That's a little weird. Bro, I'm just starting to believe that Io does this with everyone. Io does this with... This is what she does with Rhea. Hey, maybe this is the only way Io knows how to hug. She likes to wrap her legs around people. I don't know. This is kind of sus, if you ask. This is kind of weird, if you ask me. But, hey, it's fine. It's fine. As long as everything is clean and professional, doesn't really affect me too much. And as long as the wrestlers aren't getting hurt, that's okay with me. But I think it's a little weird, if you ask me. Like, why are you tugging your boss like this? But it's whatever. So I'm gonna gloss past it. Act like I didn't see a single thing. But yeah, that's it. Unreal episode 1 officially done. What do you guys think of episode 1? Comments below. Anyway, have a beautiful rest of your day. See you tomorrow. Bye!